Hey everyone, welcome to a special edition of the Retro Gamers Podcast, CES 2020. Larry here.
And Anthony here. What?
There's something a little odd there. I think you're a little low.
Am I a little low? Is my camera a little low?
Yeah.
Is my camera low or am I too high?
Oh, I don't know because I can't see the. Can you? I don't know. You may be a little high. Yeah,
Here, let me try. Let's try something.
And from now on, every episode will begin with us dropping from the ceiling.
There you go. That felt a little elevator action to me.
Donk. Game's great. Now I want to play elevator action. That's it. I'm pausing the episode. We're gonna go play elevator action.
Sounds good as long as it's not online.
Yes, Anthony is, as much as we're going to be talking about, this is a special edition episode, so we're going to talk about some new tech. Anthony has been whisked back to the Stone Age in Bedrock.
I know. My internet is down, so I have now shucked all of my plans for today, and I will be churning butter and reading books.
I like it. You're gonna put up. Did you see that story of supposedly like 250 Amish literally just picking up a barn that was already built and just moving it across the farm?
It's amazing what people can do.
Give me my tech.
Them today.
Yeah, until that internet's back on, and you're like, "Oh my god, thank you."
No, trust me, I will probably be spending most of my day at Starbucks.
Oh, we could have done it from there. Oh, well.
That was a good thing.
I think I've done a pod. Well, I haven't, but when I was on the Beats and Speaks podcast, the host of that show, Lee Dickey, he was in a Starbucks, and it was funny to hear people in the background. It was pretty good.
I know. I could have interviewed a bunch of caffeinated, deprived people as they wait in line. Can't
you go to Aroma?
No, because well, one, they don't have internet connection there because they don't want you to stay.
Oh.
Two, I'd eat all the cake.
This is true, folks. Cheap plug: if you're in Los Angeles, the last couple of times I was there, go to this place called Aroma. You get a chocolate cake the size of your head, size of my head.
That's a pretty big slice.
It really is. No, it really is. And the best Arnold Palmer on the planet. I don't care what anybody says.
Nice.
So, but we're not here to talk about food. I would love to, but we're not here to talk about
that's a different show that we haven't started yet.
We're here to talk about CES 2020. The first major expo, if you will, for the year, and some new tech coming out. We're going to focus on some of the gaming of it, but there's a lot of, as usual, a lot of interesting stuff coming out. 2020 looks very promising.
Yeah, based on the things that I saw, it was really exciting. There was some really some cool stuff in the video game realm. That popped out, and then on top of that, just some really cool tech stuff that we can see the video game industry benefiting from. What's a big surprise from Sony that we'll talk about?
Yes, some of the cool non-gaming stuff. There was a startup company that's looking to recycle your bath water and then cleans it and then throws it into the toilet or something like that. I don't know. Then there's a smartwatch. Yeah.
Cat.
Uh-oh. Careful, because this cat can now destroy everything today.
I know. Literally, she can knock it down in a blink of an eye.
There she is.
Say hi. Okay.
I want to watch the world. Both your cats just want world domination. It's very Pinky in the Brain.
They really do. Well, she's the brain. Oh. She's got her nose up on the camera. This is going to go all wrong.
Unbelievable. Some cool stuff I saw. So that I saw a very nice smartwatch that was very hybrid in design. It looked like it was a classic watch with the hands, very elegant looking. But then right on top had the tech part of it that would do your EKG, test sleep apnea, does other smartwatch stuff. So it was pretty cool. Yeah, so a lot of interesting stuff and some stuff as well that's not gaming, but part of gaming that we'll get into a little later. I figured let's just jump right into it.
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right, let's do it. First out of the box is something that's going to be a little near and dear to my heart, and hopefully, Ed, I hope this jumps on your radar as much as you have the Retro Freak, and you are able to play Game Boy games through it. Hyperkin is throwing their hat into the handheld market with the Retron Junior.
Yeah, I saw that. It looks really cool.
I'm liking it. Retron Junior basically will well, it will let you play your Game Boy, your Game Boy Color, and your Game Boy Advance games right there on your television. Um, you know, Hyperkin, actually not even Hyperkin. Before we get to that, I feel, and just correct me if you think I'm wrong, 2020 might be the year of like the handheld clones, like retro handheld.
Yeah, I think you're right because I think that's probably the most untapped market out of all of them. I mean, we've seen all the cartridge-based ones, and on top of that, we've also seen the developers like Nintendo, Sega, and all that stuff trying to combat that, coming out with their minis and things like that. But yeah, I really do think now handheld is the handheld market is wide open for it, and I'm curious to see what Nintendo, Sega, Sony, what they do to combat again, what they come out with to try and combat it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. We started to see last year a lot of these collections, like the Castlevania collection, the Contra collection, even the collection of Mana series, be released with Game Boy versions of those respective games on across all platforms. Untapped is one way to say it. To me, I feel like it's just next. All these Nintendo clones, the Super Nintendo clones, Genesis, Atari. I just feel or Game Boy, at least for now, being the top handheld system of all of them. And I don't think I'm being biased on that. I think the proof is in the pudding with the Game Boy. I think it's just next. And we saw last year, near the end of last year, Analog talk about their Analog Pocket, which is their handheld. So with the Pocket, you can actually play on the go, and then there'll be an adapter where you can play the games on your television, and also adapters where you can play other handheld systems. The Hyperkin, the Retron Junior, as of right now, and not a lot of details are out. There was no gameplay available at CES. It was just more, here it is. It literally looks like a little cube. It kind of looks like almost like a little tiny Borg cube from the size of it. And it just like a toaster. You put the games on top of it, 720p, HDMI out. It looks like, if I read it correctly, composite as well, out for some of the older televisions. And the controller appears to be a wireless Hyperkin. I think Hyperkin calls it the Scout controller, basically a Super NES controller.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any. Be honest with you, I'm not seeing any ports to hardwire a controller into it, but I'm sure that might be available down the road. And your first thoughts on this Retron Junior when you saw it? Like the look of it and everything.
Yeah, when I saw it, I thought the design was really cool. It looked like a mini GameCube to me.
Yeah.
Mostly because it's a cube, so anything in a cube form will look like a GameCube. But I thought that was a really cool. I thought that was a really cool thing. And again, the design is nice. It looks like something that'll look great on my shelf. Again, however, I already have a system that does what it does, so there's no need for me personally to get it. I know you tried out the Retro Freak; it didn't work out for you, so you returned it. So, and on top of that,
I didn't return it. I threw it out in a fit of rage.
Oh, you didn't even return it?
I bought it from England. How was I going to return it? I was going to have to pay more money in shipping, probably.
You should have at least kept it.
I chucked it.
And here I am. I have a nice one that sits on my shelf that was significantly cheaper than the one you bought.
It was.
I told you I would have picked one up for you in Japan.
I am aware of this.
Yes. Anyway, because handheld games weren't really my bag. Also, me going back and trying to really dive into, and I'm sure there were a lot of great handheld games. Don't get me wrong. It's like there's so many console games I haven't played that I have a hard time even starting to look at handheld. So this particular item, not necessarily for me, but at the same time, I definitely can see the appeal for Game Boy, Game Boy enthusiasts, basically.
Well, let me ask you this, Ann, and if I may. So, all right, I totally get it, and yes, I know you weren't into the handheld scene, but you know, with something like this, something like this system that would plug directly into your television, or even the Retro Freak, now that you have it, could you now consider these to be console games, kind of, sort of, because now you are able to play them. And I know you're out. I'm not, trust me, I'm not judging you. I mean, secretly, deep down inside, I do. But outside right now on this topic,
okay, I can live with that.
on this topic, I just feel like this is a market where, like, if you're out buying retro games for the, what we'll call the home consoles and games you've never played, I think this is a perfect opportunity for you, because there are, and you know this, I know you do, there are gems on the Game Boy that will rival those NES and SNES and Genesis games.
Oh yeah, there's no question about it. I mean, I picked up Zelda, Oracle of Ages, and Oracle of Seasons for that reason. My thing is, I haven't. It's really kind of funny because all these years later, when it comes to the Game Boy market, I don't have a tremendous amount of knowledge. I would actually have to do research aside from the usual Mario, Zelda games, which everybody knows about. Outside of that, I don't have a lot of knowledge in regards to the Game Boy market. I would have to go look up stuff and figure out, oh yeah, this is a game I would play, now on my TV, or on the Switch. You can download Game Boy games on the Switch now too, right?
No, not individually. Again, they're part of the packages. Yeah.
Yeah, part of the pack. But so yeah, I would treat it as almost like me again, just doing this for the first time and really diving into it.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, but again, like I said, my whole argument at the moment, and I just had this conversation with a friend of mine last night. I have so many games that I've purchased just within the last 2 months that I'll probably never play, and they're all console based, and they're sitting here. Hell, I've got stuff from Black Friday 4 years ago that is they're all still shrink wrapped. I swear I'm going to play Evil Within. I've wanted to play it since I bought the damn game. But they just sit there. So it's like, to open up, this is my personal thing, to open up a whole other world would be a daunting task right now. And that's the only thing that's really keeping me away from it. However, if there are some hidden gems between you and anybody who's watching or listening that everybody thinks I should jump on for the Game Boy, I'm all ears, because I have a system that I can play it on. I will happily do it. And you know what? This is 2020. It's time we start streaming our gaming, Larry. Because we had talked about on for our plans for 2020, one of the things we wanted to do is start beating games we haven't beaten before. Larry finally did one this year.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah, he closed out 2019 in style with Kung Fu.
I did.
But then he opened up 2020 with Kung Fu, by defeating it, which was great. Now we just need to really focus on that. And to be honest, if there are any handhelds out there that you think would be perfect for me, let me know. I will go to my game store and buy
it. So the Retron Junior, I love the fact though that Hyperkin could have afforded a better copy of Pokemon Yellow that they used for the display, because if you zoom in on it, it is ratty, it's old looking. All right, fine, maybe that makes it look nostalgic, but I was like, come on, there's better copies of Pokemon Yellow you can get out there.
I'm not choosing you.
Now there is supposedly there is a connector where you can hook to either, I'm assuming, two of these Retron Juniors together for 2-player action on Game Boys for 2 games, 2 televisions. Or I would imagine you could hook it up like 1 television, 1 Game Boy, and play 2-player like that, or maybe even data transfer. More information for that to come out. And I just want to say this because I've read some stuff online and I've talked to some of my friends. Yes, Hyperkin has already said it's going to run off of emulation. And I know there's some listeners out there, some YouTube watchers who watch us, who are very particular. Like they need that pixel perfect. If it's not running off the hardware, I don't want to play it.
Mhm.
To me, Hyperkin, and this is not a knock on Hyperkin. Actually, I like this comparison, and I'm taking it straight from Clerks 2. Hyperkin is like the Kmart of these clone systems.
Ouch.
No, it's like, they're for a budget price compared, like this is going to be so much cheaper than the analog Pocket. And I'm not even considering like the add-ons on the Pocket to play Game Gear and stuff like that. Just alone. That's why, I ordered the analog Super Nintendo way back when. It was like almost maybe over $200 or just about $200, and I was all set for it. And then Hyperkin put out their version for like, I don't know, $80. It was pure, just funds availability. So I switched out and I got the Hyperkin version, and it's awesome. And I'm not one, everyone knows. Like to me, I'm not concerned about the pixel perfect. It doesn't bother me. I put the card in and it's running off of emulation. As long as I can get that nostalgic feel, that's what I'm looking for. And Hyperkin with the Retron Junior, that's what I'm really looking forward to. So we'll see what comes out. No release date yet, sometime this year, but this is another step in, I think, 2020 being the year of the handhelds, and I really hope to see a Retron VR. Or
No,
VB.
that won't happen.
I have 5 games I have to use on it.
No, you know what? Yeah, I think it's safe to say that nobody in their right mind would ever decide, hey, you know what's a good idea? Let's go get the 17 games on a extremely terrible system
26.
and whatever it is, and let's re-release them for the 5 people who want them.
Works for me. That is a
and
budget
we haven't
counter.
done this in a while, but hashtag BB sucks. Hi, Charlie. Miss ya.
That's why he hasn't been on the episode in 2020. So moving along with CES 2020, I'm assuming we're just going to virtually move down to the next booth. Yes. And Arcade 1UP was at CES 2020, and by golly, yeah, they got some good stuff coming out.
Oh yeah, they do. They've got a ton of stuff coming out. Right, Link?
Folks, if you want to see the definition of pure evil, and maybe move them over just a little bit, just sometimes it gets cut off. There we go. There, folks. That's going to be, the last image before the world explodes will be that cat hitting a button.
Yeah, he is evil.
Taking us all out.
But Arcade 1UP, yeah, absolutely. Yes. Arcade 1UP, like, they came in hardcore this year. I was like, you would think maybe they would kind of just go in the same route where it's like, hey, we license more games, here are some more cabinets. But no, they went all out. Did you see? First off, I have to just bring this up right away. Did you see the monstrous NBA Jam arcade that they made?
Absolutely. I did. Very akin, of course, to the giant Thanos-size Marvel arcade that they had at. Did you see that one at San Diego?
Yeah,
the giant one. Okay, yeah, I saw it at New York Comic Con, and this thing was huge, and ginormous. And what happens is they did it now for NBA Jam, and I heard people like what they were talking about, because the joystick and the buttons are proportionate size to the cabinet. Mm-hmm. Like you had to put your elbow on the turbo button and like Hulk smash the jump button or something to shoot it.
Oh my god! It was basically a machine built for Shaq.
It was. It really was. Yeah, so that was very cool. See, now that's going to be their gimmick, and now I can't wait to see their next giant size machine as time goes on and they put out these systems.
I think I have a feeling they may surprise us and go really, really tiny on one.
Imagine. Oh, that'd be hysterical.
Yeah, exactly.
And you made a point where now they're really starting, they're coming out of the blocks. And yeah, Arcade 1UP did start as just, hey, look, you can have arcade cabinets in your home for a budget price. Very simple games, like Asteroids and Space Invaders and Pac-Man and stuff like that. But yeah, and to your point, they are now breaking out the big guns because, they got the market. They're there. And now they're going all out. And this year, we saw some very interesting items. The first one, let's talk about it since we already mentioned it, NBA Jam Arcade Cabinet. Will feature three versions of the game: NBA Jam, NBA Jam Tournament Edition, and NBA Hang Time. Now, what's really cool about this one is this is their first, as far as I'm aware of, their first cabinet that will connect to the internet.
Yes, that was the most exciting thing, I think, news-wise, that I heard from them. Granted, there were other things they're coming out with, but the fact that you can now connect to other people who have NBA Jam and play against them, that is phenomenal. I mean, because it opens the door to some of their other games having that online functionality. Because NBA Jam is one of them, but just imagine like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade being available online to play with everybody. You know, it's just there's so much you can do with that.
Oh, absolutely. It appears the online functionality is North America only right now, but time will tell if that will change for our friends overseas. But
you mean I can't bring my cabinet to China with me?
You can try, but you can still play it locally. Oh, imagine you have to connect to the internet to play. That'd be terrible.
Yeah, but, excuse me. Can I? I'll just show up at the airport. But excuse me. How can I go online?
Is this check-in, or can I put it in the overhead bin?
I'll just have it on wheels, just like dragging it by.
You know what? I don't have a picture of the NBA Jam cabinet in front of me. I don't remember if it's a 2 or 4.
Okay.
Uh-oh. Who was that? Link or Snow?
Nope, Snow.
Or an actual earthquake or tremor. Okay. Chubby Bunny. Bunny.
Yeah, so you were saying about the
I don't it's rude. It's just rude. I don't remember if the local cabinet is a 2 joystick or a 4 joystick cabinet.
I think
I would imagine.
I thought it was 4.
I would imagine 2, because then you can get 2-player versus 2-player online.
Right.
I think of. Now, I did hear, and understandable, so I don't know how they're going about this. I don't have this fact complete, but they either did not secure the licenses for all the NBA players from these respective games.
Okay.
So I don't know if they're just going to replace them with current players, or I don't know, something weird, like just generic players.
I don't know. I mean, I thought if they got the license to the game and the company that produced the game had the license to the players, that would just be it.
I think for sports games, it's not a license with the players; it's a license with the Players Association.
Okay.
Which may be a little different. Yeah, I don't know how that works completely.
Yeah, so I guess they would have to get the rights from the NHLPA or
not NBA.
NBA. Whatever.
No. Now I want to see Wayne Gretzky and NBA Jam.
No, I don't want to. No, I want to see like NHL Blitz or something like that. You know, give me an NHL game.
Didn't they have NHL Hits or something it was called, right?
And yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
It was NFL. Wait, it was NFL Blitz. Right?
Well, it had NFL Blitz. That was awesome. I love that. I have it on the PS3.
I forgot what the NHL one was called.
I want to say Hits.
Yeah, it might have been Hits. Yeah. But basically, they made one for pretty much every sport except baseball, because baseball's boring.
Yeah, it's a little tough to do a baseball one.
And I would love to see like an extreme golf one, though.
Whack, dink, right in the back of the head, and off for birdie. In an arcade cabinet, I know I will not be picking up, but nevertheless, a gorgeous.
It was beautiful, and I'm gonna get it. And in fact, your birthday's coming up.
Oh, I'm not going to say no to it. I wouldn't say no to it, because there's 3 other games on there I would play. Burger Time cabinet is coming out. And look, yes, I'm not crazy about Burger Time, the game, but this cabinet is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Light up marquee, rounded sides. The 4 games in it is going to be Burger Time, Karate Champ.
Yes.
Bad Dudes, which
Bad Dudes was a good game.
It was a good game, and Caveman Ninja.
Caveman. Now I can say with certainty that I've never played Caveman Ninja.
Caveman Ninja isn't Caveman. I'm doing this on the fly, so forgive me. Isn't Caveman Ninja just Joe and Mac?
It might be.
So yeah, it is. Yeah, Joe and Mac. Yep. Which is actually a good game, so it's actually not bad. So it's yeah, so we have that new arcade cabinet coming out, so very cool. But not that's not it. A couple other ones to mention real fast. They're doing, which I don't know what this is going to look like yet, because I haven't seen a picture of it. A sit-down style Star Wars cabinet.
Yes.
Now, I don't know if that means it's just going to be just shorter, or if they're actually trying to build the whole. Remember, like you actually sat in
Yeah.
the
No, no, no.
unit and everything.
I think that's the plan.
Oh my god, that's gonna be almost bigger than the original. So,
No, I mean, I would,
original
I would
Star Wars
assume.
that they're putting out.
I was gonna say, I would assume the way that they're gonna build it is not necessarily like where you're really sitting down low. Because you remember those cabinets, you kind of sit and lean back and stuff.
Yeah,
I would assume
yeah.
kind of more in a standard seated position so that it's not that big. Almost, I would think almost like phone booth-ish in a way.
Fair enough. Fair enough. They're doing a new Frogger cabinet.
Mm-hmm.
What happened?
I said that's a guess on my part.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is all hearsay. No, not hearsay. Guessing.
No, it's just all conjecture.
There we go. That word. New Frogger cabinets coming out. Don't know much more about that, but still Frogger, classic game, classic arcade. And here's a good one I like. Did you hear about the Sega Golden Axe cabinet that they're going to be releasing?
No, I didn't, but I heard
Ooh.
about the Sega Golden Axe cabinet.
Oh, I was like, oh, I get to break something to you. Sega. So it's going to be 5 games on there. It's going to be Golden Axe, Shinobi, Altered Beast, Wrestle Wars, which that's a good pick.
Yes.
And for the first time re-released since it came out on the arcades back in the early 90s, Golden Axe, The Revenge of Death Adder.
Yes, and you know that's funny. The Revenge of Death Adder is actually the arcade at my barcade here in LA.
Oh, really? Oh, that's awesome.
That one, which is cool. And yeah, when I saw that one, out of all the ones they were talking about, that was the one that had me most excited because of the list of games that were on it.
No, that is a very good list. Actually, with that list, I gotta say this may break my top 3 cabinets I would love to get from Arcade 1-Up. Right now, it's the Turtles arcade, and then the Final Fight arcade, and then this one.
Okay. Yeah. See, me, I want. Let's see. I want the Mortal Kombat one, and I want the Turtles one, but I'm holding out. Because I know it's going to happen because they've already got Marvel. I want my X-Men cabinet. That is what I want.
If they made an X-Men cabinet, would they go as far as making it a dual screen, do you think?
No, I don't think so. I think the most you would get out of it is a 4-player. They won't even go the 6-player.
I mean, if it was like a smaller screen, like I'm not gonna say tablet size screens, but maybe something a little bigger than tablet size screens, maybe you can squeeze 6 players into that.
Maybe, but I'm perfectly fine with just a 4-player X-Men cabinet. That would make me very happy.
Fair enough. The Burger Time Special Edition cabinet can be pre-ordered as we speak from Arcade 1-Up. They're hoping for a ship date of March 1st on that one. And the final news out of NBA Jam, out of Arcade 1-Up, is that now they're dipping into pinball. Not 100%, but in their way, which I don't have a problem with.
Yeah. They announced their first ever, I think it's a 3/4 scale pinball machine. And what better way to start off your pinball machines than to release a Star Wars one?
Yes. Now, not only is it a pinball, here's the catch. It's digital pinball. So it's not an actual hardware pinball machine, which makes sense because that would be a hump to maintain. Yep. But I think they're saying those who've played some, I think they were on demo there, the digital pinball, and I think I may have even played a digital pinball machine before. It still runs pretty smooth. Even the pinball games like on the Switch and stuff, they're pretty accurate. They feel really good. So I think this is pretty cool for a home, again, a budget home pinball machine, and it's digital. Go for it.
Yeah, and to your point, I mean, to release a regular pinball machine, the maintenance would be ridiculous. So I think this is probably the best way that you could deliver a pinball machine that's affordable to just us schlubs.
Yeah, and they're working with Zen Studios, who normally does put out those versions on the home consoles. And like I said, they're really good. They'll be working with Bally Williams, so Star Wars, even though you even said on the marquee, pending license approval, but they probably will get some sort of Star Wars. I know they were showing like the new trilogy, but even if they had to go back to the original trilogy, nevertheless, pinball, very cool. So Arcade One Up, hitting it real good.
Yeah, and then there's one other thing I wanted to bring up with Arcade One Up, and I think this is something that was already out before, but I was looking on their website. Have you seen tabletop ones that they've done?
Oh yeah, usually they're called like bar size. Yeah,
and I think they're only like $100.
Yep. There's only like maybe one or two games in them. I think they're releasing new ones. Actually, about that, I also heard supposedly at CES they were also showing like some almost like plug and plays that they're going to be doing. Supposedly, someone said there was this giant like Pac-Man joystick. All it is the joystick and a wire to run into your television, and you literally like set it up on the floor and you play on your TV. I haven't seen any photos of it, but it's interesting.
If it's true. Well, I mean, if you think about it, if you just have a stand to put up in your living room and you stick a joystick right on top of it, it's just like playing at the arcade anyway. But you just have a giant.
This is very true. So again, Arcade One Up, hitting the home run. Can't wait to see more of these items, especially the pinball machines, and we'll wait and see what else Arcade One Up has to offer.
Very cool. Yeah, very happy with Arcade One Up.
So let's move on to now next gen systems. We're going to talk about two. Not a lot more details came out, but we got a little more details. Let's start with the one that is confusing everybody as far as what's going on with it. We're talking about the PlayStation 5.
Yeah, I know. I think everybody is really confused with how bold they went with their new logo. Everybody just doesn't understand. Like, I mean, talk about taking a leap forward with your logo. I mean, that was just amazing. I mean, kudos to Sony for really stepping out of the box on that one.
And for those of you not catching the sarcasm in Anthony's voice or face, basically the PlayStation 5 logo, it's the same logo it's been since the PS2, which makes sense. Why change perfection? But it's Sony stating, all right, now we're on the road to PlayStation 5, which is coming out holiday 2020.
Yes, very excited about this.
Yeah, no, me too. I'm looking forward to it. As far as like hardware and stats, look, that we'll talk about that later on down the road. Right now, and this is from Sony, so not from any other sources. We're going to get into that in a second. The release date, holiday 2020. So we're talking probably November. That's usually ends up being the case.
Save up your pennies.
So a price tag hasn't been set yet, but they say that PlayStation 5 pricing will be attractive to gamers. So I'm not sure what that means. To quote Mark Kearney, or Cerny, the lead architect of the PS4, quote, I believe that we will be able to release it as a suggested retail price that will be appealing to gamers in light of its advanced feature set. Now, granted, when I bought the PS3, it was like $700, and that was like the first Blu-ray player built in that I bought. So I can only imagine what the PS5 is going to be.
Well, and that's why it was $700. I think no, but when I think they're talking about it being in a more affordable way is because we're also talking about as technology advances, it becomes increasingly less expensive to create. So I really do think that the price point is not going to be that far off from the PS4. Including the fact that they've already announced that the system itself is actually more environmentally friendly on top of that.
True. Now, to say that, yes, it becomes cheaper to make doesn't necessarily means cheaper to sell, because they're there to make a profit. And, let's face facts. In today's day and age where we're now buying, we being society, maybe not me, me definitely, where we're buying $1,000 cell phones, what makes it out of the realm of possibility to make an $800 PlayStation 5 again if this thing cost me almost $1,000 and my last phone cost more than $1,000.
Yeah, and I'm not arguing that. And when you're a slave to Apple, that's what happens. But
no, not just Apple, Samsung as well. Not you with your weird +1 or whatever.
My affordable OnePlus that I got for half the price that you got your iPhone for?
They're the Kmart of cell phones.
Oh yeah, they're the Kmart of cell phones. Look how crappy I look in this screen.
Oh,
it's terrible. This 48 megapixel thing. Oh, it's just trash.
48 megapixels. What?
Yep. So, but what I was saying is, I actually think they're going to surprise us, and it's going to be surprisingly. I think it's just going to be more affordable than everybody's thinking. That's just. I'm going to say 400 to 500. That's where I'm guessing.
All right, I'm going to say 5 to 6. So we'll see.
Okay. Fair enough.
We'll see. All right, so we all know, and it is official, that it will be completely backwards compatible with the PS4 library of games right now. Before we move on from that, I do want to say that supposedly, actually, PS4 games should be looking a little bit better on the PS5 because they should run faster because of the faster processor on the PS5.
And also, in addition to that, anybody out there who owns a PlayStation VR, it will also be compatible with the PS4 version of the VR.
Here, just to give a quick demonstration about how fast PS4 games will load, and you may be familiar with this, Spider-Man takes 15 seconds to load on a PS4 Pro. With the PS5 developmental kit, it took less than a second.
Yep, it was insane. I mean, I remember seeing that. That video came out. They showed that like at some point last year, I think. I think it was even it may have been a Comic-Con or one of the other shows. But just the announcement that again, backwards compatible to the PS4 is great, but we should really address the rumor that's going around because there. I forgot the name of the site who posted it, but they're known for breaking. They're known for breaking news from companies. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you remember the name of it, but
Hits or something. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. But they basically came out and announced that the PlayStation 5 will be fully backwards compatible all the way to the original PlayStation 1.
Which everyone's been saying since the PS5 was even announced. So, to me, that's just a matter of throwing darts at the board and hoping for a bullseye.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, when Sony first announced it and when they came out and they said the PlayStation 5 will be fully backwards compatible, they purposely did not say fully backwards compatible with the PS4. They just said fully backwards compatible. Mm-hmm. Now, you would think that from a marketing and PR perspective, they don't want to be misleading to their audience or to their consumers. So I don't think that was said in error, because if it was said in error, they would have very quickly come out and said, oh, no, we meant with the PS4, because it got everybody, rumbling about this. So the fact that they never amended that makes me think, and again, this is me on the business side of things when I think of stuff in entertainment. It's like you don't say things like that in error and not take it back. So that's why I really do think it's going to be fully backwards compatible to the PS1.
It might be. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it's not gonna be. I have hopes, but me being me, I don't believe it till I see it. So,
agreed.
Until Sony comes out with that press conference, showing. But here's the thing that kind of confuses me. I think it was in that article that we posted. If not, I may have read it in a different article. But they said, and the wording specifically, that the PS5 will load PS1, PS2, and PS3 games. Like, they didn't specifically say you can play them. It was weird. They said you can load them. I don't know if that's cryptic for something, Well,
here's what I'm wondering. Well, here's ultimately what I'm wondering. And they were talking about, even in that article that we posted on our Facebook page, that graphics are going to get updated and everything like that. So when they say that it's able to load it, what's entirely possible is, and again, that article was talking about how they've been working on this technology since like 2011 or 2012. It's entirely possible what they're doing is, because the graphics and everything wind up getting upgraded for the game, you're not just going to play your original Crash Bandicoot or Tomb Raider off of your PS1 disc. They probably had, this is my thought, they've had people update the graphics so that when you put the disc in, it just recognizes that you own the game, and you load the remastered version of the game on your PS5.
which I think is kind of like how Xbox does it. Because when you
Yeah.
play a backwards compatible game on the Xbox, you don't just put the game in and it runs. You have to download like an emulator almost, or
Yeah.
I won't call it a patch, but yes, something to run that game. And yes, on the Xbox One, some of the 360 games, even some of the Xbox original games, have had graphical upgrades slightly because of that. So this is probably, if they go back to the PS1, I'm assuming that's how it's going to be. You put the game in, it would have, like, in other words, you have to be connected to the internet to play it. It downloads a patch or a ROM, whatever you want to call it, and then you can play the game. So we'll see.
Yep. And then on top of that, I also think that this is actually a really smart way for Sony, again, to get ahead of these third parties that are coming in and trying to do the whole emulation stuff, like the way that we were talking about Retron, or the way we've talked about Polymega. Like, everybody's like frothing at the mouth for, we want a retro system that plays our old disc games, because we don't want to go out and buy all these consoles again and have them sitting around. And that's why, like you and I, we've gone in and purchased the Polymega, pre-ordered the Polymega.
Yep.
So I think this is the perfect opportunity for Sony to basically cut them off at the pass before they start releasing all of these disc playing retro systems. It's like, hey, you guys don't need to go out and buy a third party system, because we've just released a system that lets you play our entire library all the way back to the beginning.
And again, I think we're slowly getting there where we're going to see everyone really start doing that. But we'll see. We'll see. Holiday 2020. Holiday 2020 is going to be very busy and possibly pricey, because the PS5, again, we'll go into more details as the year goes on about these systems. But the PS5 isn't the only one that's coming out this holiday season. Old Bill Gates is dropping the old Microsoft Xbox. Wait, what is this? Microsoft Series. What the hell do they call this one? Xbox Series X.
Oh, okay. I thought did they leave Scarlet behind?
Well, Project Scarlet is now officially Xbox Series X.
Oh God, is that I can't keep track of this. Xbox, Xbox 360, Xbox One, Xbox Series X. No. See, whoever is in their naming department, fired. Please stop it.
And it's very funny, because actually this news of Xbox Series X, like, officially being announced, was dropped when I was doing that episode of the Technocrat a few weeks ago. As we were live on Facebook, it was the night of the Game Awards, and that's when they officially came out and announced Xbox Series X. And I remember the producer over there was like, "Oh, who's a gamer?" He was like, "Oh, yep, no, they just announced a new Xbox system." Like, you see us live on the show, all of a sudden kind of get diverted and like, "Oh, okay, new system." So yeah, Project Scarlet, we heard about it last year at E3. Xbox Series X, which Xbox is really making their system now look like a home PC. Like, it's really weird looking. Not weird looking, just different. Doesn't look like a home console, basically.
No. It looks like a PC tower.
Exactly. But you can lay it on its side, like you have every other system. Again, kind of the same thing with the PlayStation 5 coming out this holiday season. So we're assuming that means November. No price yet on this. This bad boy may be a little pricier than the PS5. And it is, right now, they're saying that it's just basically just an upgraded Xbox One X. So everything you can do on the Xbox One X now, including backwards capability, you'll be able to do on this bad boy.
Yep. And again, I have fallen out of favor with Microsoft, so I'm curious to see, when they say backwards capability, how backwards they go.
Okay. Well, right now they're going back to the original. Now, remember, for Microsoft systems, it's not their decision for the backwards capability. It's the original publishers. So, right. Just to be fair, to be fair.
No, and that's understandable. But at the same time, when you've got a company like Sony who's like, hey, you can have our whole library. Mm-hmm. It puts the pressure on Microsoft to try and get those publishers.
Oh, of course. And not only that, but how much. Actually, also for the PS5, again, we're moving into the future. It's 2020. I mean, do you see the writing on the wall? And I'm not trying to get into, yay or nay on the topic, but do you see any sort of writing on the wall as far as the move, not you personally, in general, the move to digital and the move to cloud? Because I think this Xbox Series X is also going to be focusing, as much as there's a disk drive in it, it's going to be focusing on like their Xbox Game Pass and the new Windows Cloud service that they're going to be coming out with.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's inevitable because everything is essentially moving to a streaming service where it's like, hey, pay a monthly fee and you can watch whatever you want. Same thing with games. Pay a monthly fee and you can play whatever you want. The problem that I have with it is the sense of there's no ownership involved anymore. So
I'm not.
no, I know.
Yeah.
This is just what I'm saying. I do think we're moving in that direction. I don't ever think it's gonna be exclusively that because again, as consumers, and I don't know if it's just because it's ingrained in our heads and it's kind of old school for us. We want a sense of ownership to the titles we're playing or we're watching or whatever. So I don't know if it's ever going to go away. I think maybe we'll have it'll be dual for a while. But yeah, there's no question that everything is moving in the direction of subscription service, cloud-based. It's just the way that we're going.
Okay. And again, this bad boy is going to be a lot faster than the Xbox One. We'll get into stats as the year comes upon us. But with these new systems, now I don't remember if they will be capable of what I'm about to mention. They may be upgradable later. But with the announcement of also all these 8K televisions that were being shown off at CES, looks like the systems I think are going to start moving in that direction. We just got to 4K. I'm trying to think what the example was and who said it. So forgive me because I'm going to grossly misquote this, but someone was talking about how we went from like the invention of the wheel to flight in like 1,000, no more than that, like a long time frame,
like 10,000 years.
So yeah, but then we went from or that to the wheel in like 10,000 years, but the wheel to flight in like 100. Again, those, don't quote me on those numbers. What I'm saying is new technology, we're upgrading so fast that, to go from black and white to color, and then how long it took from color to HD, and to a little shorter time to get to 4K. And 4K has probably been out for about 3 years, meaning like budget for home view. And now we're already starting to talk 8K, and right behind that, 12K is nipping on its heels. So
I know. I can't deal with this.
Look, 4K television now cheap.
No, I know. I just bought my 4K TV in August.
No, which is a smart thing to do. Remember, you never really buy anything day one unless you're me, because you can actually look at my history. You can see why. But I'm just saying, now, I just got my 4K television will be 2 years this February, and I can see myself getting budget price an 8K TV in another 3 years. That's 5 years for this TV, which I think is a shorter time frame than usual. And there's nothing wrong with upgrading a television. That's just the way it is.
You remember growing up, you had your furniture television for 15 years or 20 years?
I was at Game On, and we were just talking about that, the old televisions that we had. And the guy who was there, great guy, one of the customers, it's like, yeah, I had to go up, I had to click through to get to the channel. I'm like, bro, God. I am with you. And I'm older. I'm like, trust me, I wasn't that far off from having my TV be in black and white.
I know. There was, obviously we look back on it fondly, but there was still something cool to it because it's you felt like you were switching to a channel just designated for you.
It's
like
very true. I like
nothing else, and it just brought you into that world. It's no, channel 3 is mine. It belongs to me.
Who ever used channel 4? You always had the option of channel 3 or channel 4.
Yeah, I didn't understand that either. I think there was one you use channel 4. I think when TVs first started getting digital with the remotes and stuff. I remember we had a TV where, for the life of me, I couldn't get it to recognize channel 3, so I had to use 4.
Oh yeah, okay, I know what you're talking about.
But for the most part, yeah, there was no reason to use 4. I also remember at one point when channel 2 was an option.
Really, I don't ever remember channel 2.
I do. There was one. I can't remember which one it was, where it was either 2 or 3, and then obviously 3 or 4, and then if you go back even further, the Atari, where you had the little switch on the back that you had to flip.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking. Yeah, exactly. Daisy chaining the RF switches.
Oh God, I had all those RF switches like this. It was.
Yeah. Oh, the good.
And you know what? You know, it was a fire hazard in the making, and we're still here.
Certainly was. So yeah, so PS5, Xbox Series X, we are staring down the highway to those. So we will be on the lookout. So much more information will be coming out as the year goes on, and of course, we will certainly let you know. Um, and there's other couple things, kind of just real quick to hit. And you mentioned something about Sony at CES.
Wow. Okay. So again, not necessarily video game related, but this is just really awesome news. Sony, out of nowhere, just decided to reveal a car. It's a car. And they just wheeled it out. You know, they wheeled it out at CES. It's called the Sony Vision S. You know, kind of got a little futuristic look to it. And again, they've already announced that they're not going to be, you know, this is not a car they plan on mass producing. Although, let me tell you something: if people are start looking at it and they're clamoring over it, they're going to make it, or they're just you know, teasing about it, and they are going to make it, because I can't imagine making a car and then not, you know, why not produce it?
I think it's more just for the sake of like, look what we could do.
Exactly.
And look what the future can be.
Yeah, and think about how many gamers are Sony fans, and think about how many of them would line up around the block to buy a Sony car.
You know, it reminds me of episodes of Pimp My Ride when they take like an old, like, you know, Datsun and redo the whole thing, but then they put like 3 Xboxes in the back of the car. You know what I mean? Like these high def televisions. We don't need people. It's bad enough people are texting and driving. We do not need a PS5 or 6 or 7 by the time this car would come out to be available on the dashboard while someone is driving.
Right.
Hold on. Gran Turismo. Just make the car a Gran Turismo controller.
Well, there you go. It's perfect. But and speaking of dashboard, the dashboard on this was amazing because it was a fully digital, like LED display dashboard all the way across from driver's side to passenger side. So basically from door to door, you just had this really long display, and it looked beautiful.
Oh, it did. Absolutely.
Yeah, it absolutely did. And again, you know, it's entirely possible they made this just to show what their tech can do, and it's entirely possible that they're getting into the you know, the automobile industry in terms of selling their tech to other, you know, automobile companies. Yes. You'll never hear. God, I'm so old. I'm saying automobile, car industry.
Who was I talking to? Real quick, I was talking to someone. Was it you? And I'm like, oh wait, someone's like, you're gonna go see Rise of Skywalker? I'm like, nah, I'm gonna wait for it to come out on video cassette. And they were like, on what? I just said it.
Which then just reminded me, I was watching Pluto TV the other day, and I came across UHF.
Oh, great movie! Oh, great movie.
I was watching that, and then a couple days before that, Chopping Mall, which is the cheesiest horror movie ever. But still awesome. Anyway, segue. So the Sony Vision S, it's fully electric, and that's the other reason why I like it. I feel like I think that if they're diving into all of this technology, that there is a possibility they're actually going to release a car, but we'll see what happens down the road. We don't know. You know, it's just another way for Sony to diversify their assets. You know, here's a whole other platform we can do. And electric vehicles are gonna they're inevitable. I think we're all heading in that direction. Fossil fuel is, you know, going to be a thing of the past eventually, I think.
George Jetson.
Well, I want the Jetsons vehicle. We're way overdue because I'm tired of sitting in traffic. Although on the Jetsons, he sat in traffic in the air too, which I thought was really weird.
All the time. His wife stole his money, but he was able to turn his car into a briefcase. Yet he still parked in a parking spot, which I didn't get.
Yeah, no, you know, let's not go there. So the Sony Vision S, a cool little, like, just a weird random surprise from Sony. But again, something interesting's got people talking.
And one final thing, real quick, not final, there's a ton of things from CES, but what we'll mention here, I just want to talk about Alienware throwing their hat into the home console again, actually, where it's a concept, it's not final design is not official, but it's called the Concept UFO. It is basically a Switch in design. in design. Runs the idea is it will run on Windows 10. Of course, the graphics are ridiculous. Yada yada yada. 1200p display, which I don't even know what's available right now. 8-inch screen, touch screen, but it has two controllers that you can undock from the side of the consoles. You can put those into another little docking station to use as a regular controller and hook this thing up to your TV. Great idea. Basically, almost like a Steam. It could be just a glorified Steam box, Steam engine on the run, to download PC games, which I'm for. Trust me, if this thing works out well, I don't mind playing some PC games on my TV.
Nope,
but what I want to mention is just how, it's the Switch. Just the way the docking is, the way it connects to the TV. It kind of reminds me of how the iPhone is 10 years old. 12 years ago, every one of us could have had a cell phone that looked completely different from the other. Clamshell, small, big, lights up, dances, whatever it does. Now, every cell phone is basically the same shape. Rounded, simple, this is what it is. I feel like when something hits a good design, forget the insides of it. When something hits a good design, everyone's going to try and take from it. Has Nintendo hit with the Switch and how its docking design and the Joy-Cons work out that now it's going to have companies copying its model?
Well, it's inevitable. When you come out with a concept that's proven to be a success, somebody else is going to make something similar to it. And let's face it, the Switch is successful for what it is. You've got a handheld system that can plug right into your television without any issue. I'm surprised. Sony decided to get out of the handheld business, so they won't be doing something like that. So Alienware stepped up. It's not surprising at all to me. And I think, again, for the number of PC gamers that are out there, it's a great avenue to go when you're not near your PC. Not tethered anymore.
Good. I like the concept, but if you're a PC gamer, then I think you're going to be attached to the mouse and keyboard. So this is going to have, it looks like Joy-Cons. The buttons are all the same. Again, this is a concept. So, it may look completely different if they release this thing, but still, the idea is there. So,
like I said, it's just in the instances when you need to go mobile. That's the way that I see it. I don't know how well it's going to work out for PC gamers if you're playing it on the TV. But again, it could also just be Alienware trying to get into a market that they haven't been in before. Right now, they've been strictly stuck to PC gamers. Here's an opportunity for them to reach out to the console and handheld gamers.
Absolutely. And that's basically a lot from CES. Again, there were tons of stuff at CES, but these are some of the key stuff that we liked, we wanted to hit on, and definitely we want your thoughts about it. But before we wrap this up, I want to mention one thing that we've been talking about for as long as the podcast, that we've been doing this podcast. Lately, and it's good because for a while, very few and far between with posts from Polymega, but I would say since the new year, so the last week or so, they've been posting I'll call them cryptic photos of the Polymega system. No details still behind it, but with the number of posts that they've put up, like close-ups of the system, close-ups of the controller, all this stuff, very, very up close and in your face, like very like in your face.
Don't ever do that again.
Do you think we're finally going to get a shipping date on something that, I ordered almost 3 years ago?
Yeah, I think so. I think we will, because now they're starting to not only post things, but I think I had told you either that sometime last month I got an email from them, basically just verifying my information for the pre-order. So to me, when I got that email, I'm like, oh, okay, they're gearing up to start shipping this thing because, after I pre-ordered it back in May, it's been crickets, since then. So the fact that this just happened. And now that they're posting stuff on Instagram and whatnot, they're definitely gearing up, I think, to release this thing finally.
Lord, I hope so. I mean, just to show that they're gearing up, like they put up a picture, and they've been putting up videos and pictures of gameplay and stuff like that. They had one from October 14th, and then the one after that was December 8th was their next post on Instagram. But then after that was a week ago today. So today's the 9th. No, what's today? The 11th. So the second, right after New Year's. And since then, they've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 posts since then. So for Polymega, that's a lot. Again, and everyone, it's the same response. When is it releasing? When it's releasing? When it's releasing? So I like you said, like I agree with you, Ant. I have some high hopes that we're gonna get something very, very soon because I can't wait. I got so many games behind me to really want to play. Plus now, my number one game to look for is now Sylphid on Sega CD. That's my new number one.
You mean Slipheed?
No, Sylphid. SIL. Yeah, Silpheed.
Oh, Sylphid. I always mix it up and I say Slipheed.
No, Slippy is from
Slippy, yes.
So hopefully I'll be able to pick that up. And then that's basically about it. So we're gonna wrap up this episode, I believe. And where can they find us?
Online.
Excellent. Well, you can't find us online right now.
I can't find anything. I can't find anything online right now. But for you guys who want to find us, you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/RetroGamersPodcast, Instagram at RetroGamersPodcast. You can find us on YouTube. Just look for the Retro Gamers Podcast. We post our episodes there. Our website, theretrogamers.com. Do we still have Twitter? I don't even know.
We do. Retro Gamers Pod. We're still there.
Retro Gamers Pod. We just don't tweet a lot. And Twitch, TRG at TRG_podcast.
And wherever you listen to podcasts, especially on Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, Google, wherever, make sure you hit that subscribe button. On YouTube, not only subscribe, hit the bell icon so you'll get notified every time a new video goes up. Share with your friends. Give us the thumbs up, the likes, the stars, whatever it is, so we can definitely get out there. Let your friends know. We got some things coming up down the road that we're really looking forward to. But with this special edition, we're going to bring it into port, folks. And with that, Ant, have a wonderful week. Hopefully you'll be back online very soon so you can play your Dead by Daylight and your Friday the 13th.
Yes, I know. Otherwise I'm just going to have to go out in the real world and recreate it.
Or play some of the old school games. Now's a perfect time.
Oh, yeah, true. I can just not play online. What a thought.
And folks, with that, we will catch you right here next week on the Retro Gamers Podcast.